tape mo e a fio a tauta hai o tua. Ka kore pe mua ke ufanga he talamaru e whanua. Ka mai ngai tala whakatap ko tope e whai ko hi ngai whakataha pehe. Ka tupe mua ke whakahoko atu a whatungia ko hi ko taupanga whanua me muri na wiheni. Mr. Alexander Seeker from the Council of Europe, Mr. Andrew Wong from the Australian Attorney General's Department, Mr. Siasi Soaleni of SPC, Reverend Militono Sartini, distinguished delegates, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen. Your Honor, kia ora, bonjour. Talofa, ni sambula. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to Tonga and to this cybercrime legislation workshop, which will be held here at the Whaonelua Convention Centre for the next 3 days. I'm aware this workshop is a follow-up and one of the action taken in accordance with the Tonga Declaration, and we are happy again to host this important workshop in exactly the same venue where the Tonga Declaration was made in June 2010. I thank in particular to the SPC, the Council of Europe and the Government of Australia for the co-organising this workshop, especially recognising the importance of having to protect ourselves in the Pacific and our quest in development against the misuse of information and communications technology, ICT, for criminal or other unsocietal purposes, and more importantly, criminalizing those abuses. Lack of resources and capacity are familiar limitations in our joint efforts in the Pacific to provide adequate measures against this rather international criminal act. Since threats can originate anywhere around the globe, the challenges are inherently international in scope, and it seems that the solutions require international cooperation, investigative assistance, and common substantive and procedural provisions. Since the beginning of the millennium, the United Nations adopted resolution of combating the criminal misuse of information technologies and creation of a global culture of cybersecurity and the protections of critical information infrastructure. The ITU, on the other hand, adopted similar resolution both at the World Summit on Information Society and the last plenipotentiary conference in Mexico, calling to build confidence and security in the use of ICT, and by launching of the Global Cyber Security Agenda, which is a framework for international cooperation aimed at enhancing confidence and security in the information society, and requiring elaboration of strategies for the development of cybercrime legislation that is globally applicable and interoperable with existing national and regional legislative measures. Through the framework, the ITU has made available resources like the establishment of the Pacific Computer Emergency Response Team. At the USB in Suva, close synthesis and accessing servers and infrastructure provided by MBET with the International Multilateral Partnership Against Cyber Threat in Malaysia, and the toolkit for cybercrime legislation, which aim to provide countries with sample legislative language and reference material that can assist in the establishment of harmonious cybercrime laws and procedural rules. The Council of Europe's Budapest Convention on Cybercrime is another standard reference and very useful resource. Such convention is necessary to deter action directed against the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of computer systems, networks, and computer data, as well as the misuse of such systems, networks, and data by providing for the criminalization of such products as described in this convention, and the adoption of powers sufficient for effectively combating such criminal offences by facilitating their detection, investigation, and prosecution at both the domestic and international levels, and by providing arrangements for the fast and reliable international cooperation. We also recall the success outcomes of the inaugural Joint Energy, ICT, and Transport Ministerial meeting just concluded in Numia earlier this month, where in the ICT ministerial segment it calls for international support in cybersecurity and child online protection initiatives in the region. Perhaps Tonga is one of the very few countries in the Pacific to have in place such legislation. When the Computer Crime Act was enacted in 2003, and there are also other related cybercrime legislation currently in force, but they all need to be revised since communications technology has outpaced these legislative and regulatory measures. I believe are several factors critical to achieving the objectives of this workshop, which include a comprehensive national cybersecurity plan, which requires initial assessment of the present situation, a strong commitment and leadership by central government to fight misuse of ICTs by enacting dedicated laws, clear organizational responsibility for enforcement activities, and the practical issue of making available adequate resources for the enforcement authority for monitoring and protecting cybersecurity. I hope that this workshop will help facilitate international cooperation, advance a national legislative framework, resolve jurisdictional and evidentiary issues, and deter cyber criminal behavior. I wish you all a successful workshop, and please take a moment or two to visit the island kingdom if time permits. For a return journey to you all, we wish you all and God be with you. And please send a greeting to your workers and also your people at home. With that, I declare the workshop open. Malo Opito.